welcome to another episode of Bookies TV. I'm Erica O'Rourke, one of the Reader's Advisors here at Cook Library, and I'm joined by Mark Morton, librarian and horror expert, to talk about some of the things we've been reading and loving lately. The first book I wanted to talk about is An Unexpected Delight. Deanna Raybourn is known for her historical mystery series, and she's taken a contemporary thriller turn with Killers of a Certain Age. It follows 4 women who are assassins for a secret organization known as the Museum. And they're ready for retirement, but on their farewell cruise, they realize that the museum has decided to terminate them permanently. They're not willing to take this lying down or to just run and hide. Instead, they take the fight to the museum, and the result is a globe-hopping, high-octane thriller of an adventure. Mark, you know that I love books about old people doing crime and old people solving crime. That is not what this is. These are women who are basically middle-aged, and they've been discounted by their coworkers, by their bosses, by society at large. And the story really explores why that is and why it's such a terrible mistake for all sorts of reasons. It's got this really twisty plot. It's got impeccable action sequences. I really loved every page of it. I read it in a weekend. It flew by. If you are a fan of The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman or L. Cosimano's Finley Donovan series, it's not quite those books. It's a little more high octane than Thursday Murder. It's a little less slapstick than Finley Donovan. But I think for people who liked those books, this one is well worth their time. So,
kind of reminds me of, did you ever see that movie Red, I think it was called, with all the older stars who decided to be in an action movie?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just really interesting because these are women who, your expectation is that they're being terminated because they're no longer any good at their job. In fact, they're excellent at their job. They're even better than they were when they started out because they have all that experience.
Yeah.
But people are so dismissive of them, and I love how they turn that into a weapon.
Okay.
I don't know, Deanna Raybourn is just one of those people. At this point, having seen her handle historical stuff really well and contemporary, I feel like she's just a must-read for me going forward. And I really hope that this is the first in a series.
Nice.
So,
that
okay.
Sounds fun.
It is. And you, I'm sure, have something scary for us.
I do. My first book just came out November 1st, which is a couple days ago at the time of recording. It's called White Horse by Erica T. Worth. And it follows Carrie, who's an urban indigenous American who enjoys the simple things in life. And she enjoys her simple lifestyle. So things like beer and Stephen King novels from the used bookstore.
No wonder you love this book.
Exactly. And she also enjoys finding old heavy metal records from the used record store. And all of these things that she enjoys gets thrown out of balance when her cousin, Debbie, finds an old bracelet that belonged to her mother. And her mother left her when she was a baby. So when she puts on the bracelet, all of a sudden she starts to have these visions of her mom coming to her, and she looks like a ghost, and she's seeing other disturbing images of natives and her mom and creepy situations. And all of this puts her on a journey to then find out what really happened to her mom, because it doesn't gel with the narrative that her dad and her other family members kind of told about why her mom isn't there anymore.
Let me ask you a question. I'm just going to interrupt you.
Yes.
You know, you love scary books,
Yes.
and you know that I am a big scaredy cat. Where does this fall on the gore spectrum?
So there's not much gore from what I remember, at least blatant gore.
Okay.
But blood is mentioned.
Okay.
And this does definitely have intense scenes that involve abuse and family relations.
Mm-hmm.
So I would throw out some trigger warnings that, if that would bother you to the point where you might not want to read it.
Right.
This might be one that you want to avoid with the family abuse stuff. But there's not a ton of gore. It's a lot of just disturbing ghostly images.
Yeah.
And what I loved about it is that along the way, it almost becomes a spiritual journey where she can work through these inner demons of both her family and her past, because she had a little bit of a wild childhood, and that kind of left some issues that she had to work through. And by both coming to terms with what happened with her parents and in her past, she's able to really transform. So there's more, like with so much horror, this is an excuse to examine real world issues and work through real world issues. She's just using, the creepy bracelet and the creepy imagery to explore those issues.
Right, it's a vehicle for kind of the bigger ideas.
The lens, exactly.
And this, I feel like, is one of those things that you're always telling me about horror.
It
It's like
is.
a good reason to read it. And you're very convincing. I'm just a scaredy cat.
And I love Indigenous fiction. I love horror, so this is the sweet spot for me. I feel like the ghostly images were haunting, and the journey was worth experiencing. And I also really loved that they paid homage to a particular Stephen King novel. So it's clear that Worth is a fan of King, is a fan of horror, and she makes a point to pay homage to it, which was fun for me to read. I recommend it for people who like Stephen Graham Jones or Catriona Ward. This would be a great read-alike for them, or for anyone who wants to learn more about Indigenous culture.
This one actually does sound like one I would enjoy, even if it's scary. And if I don't sleep, I'll just blame you. All right, so I went in a sort of opposite direction with my next read. It's The Spare Man by Mary Robinette Kowal, and I can't believe I'm saying this. It is a mystery set on a spaceship, so it's very futuristic, but it feels very much like a jazz age, kind of golden age of mystery whodunit, which I love that juxtaposition so much. And Mary Robinette Kowal is just so highly regarded. She's won all of the sci-fi awards, the Calculating Stars, the Lady Astronauts. She's just renowned. And I love her training that sci-fi lens on a mystery. It follows, and I think you might like this, because it follows a woman named Tesla Crane, who is an inventor / engineer who comes from an insanely wealthy family, a little bit like Tony Stark.
Okay. Very fitting name with Tesla.
Yes, fitting name, Tony Stark vibes. She's on her honeymoon on this interplanetary space cruiser. And she and her husband, her brand new husband, come upon a fellow passenger that's been murdered, and then her husband is accused of the crime. And so, as so often happens, she has to uncover the truth and clear his name. And she's going to do that with the help of, one, her extremely cute PTSD service dog named Giblet.
I know why you like this.
I love a good dog. The dog is fine. Nothing bad happens to the dog. I just feel like we need to say that. It's not a spoiler. So she and her dog Gimlet are going to solve the mystery along with the assistance of many, many, many cocktails. In fact, every chapter opens with a new vintage cocktail recipe.
Very nice.
So
are they space-themed cocktails?
They're not. They feel very classic. Like she gets
Okay.
into a big discussion with a bartender, and she knows they're a terrible bartender because they shake her martini.
So no warp drive whiskey or anything?
No
like
warp
that?
drive whiskey. There is a gin called Lucidity, but I'm not sure that that's that futuristic. The thing that I really, really liked about this book is that even though she absolutely nails all of those sci-fi trappings, the gravity on the spaceship and sort of the effects of that and some of the technological advances, at its heart, it's still a really good classic mystery with an amateur sleuth, tons of banter, red herrings galore. The chemistry between Tesla and her husband and the kind of the jokes between them are just delightful. She's got an amazingly high-powered attorney who has some very inventive curses and also likes to crochet as stress relief. And so it's this great blend of like humor and twistiness and great characters. I think if you're a sci-fi fan, it's a no-brainer. Like, obviously, this is one you should read. But if you're a reader that's not sure you want a mystery reader, and you're not sure you want hard sci-fi, I think this is a great way to dip your toe in. And you get cocktail recipes on the side.
This sounds interesting to me because I like sci-fi, but I like more of the dirty sci-fi, not as much as the technical sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge mystery person, so I think that this might be that good middle ground.
Yeah, and I think they do a lot, and I didn't talk about it as much, but all of those, like, there is a reason that she has this service dog. And Mary Robinette Cole is so good. She can sort of organically seed that information in really subtle, thoughtful ways. So I just feel like people are in very good hands with this one if they want to try sci-fi type mysteries.
Without avoiding the pages and pages of technical
Right.
details.
You do not need to read the ship's manual.
Awesome.
So.
That sounds great. So I'm currently reading Rachel Harrison's newest book. It's called Such Sharp Teeth, and it was released at the beginning of October 4th. And it follows a character named Rory, who's going home to her hometown to visit her sister, who is pregnant. And her baby daddy is nowhere in the picture anymore. So she's coming home to be the supportive twin sister. And what she doesn't expect is when she gets home, she has a car accident at night. And she gets attacked by what is seemingly a werewolf. And as she starts to recover from her attack, she realizes that her wounds aren't healing correctly, and she's starting to get new instincts and new desires and new
desire for like really bloody steak.
Exactly.
Oh, see, that's
new
so good.
Food cravings, and she starts to realize that something might be wrong, and maybe this attack was a werewolf. And what I enjoyed about it is that it does a really good job of juxtaposing the pregnancy of the sister and the mythology of werewolfism, and thinking like how the body changes and the horrors and maybe horrors is a strong word, but the coming to terms with your body not being your own anymore.
Yeah.
The author does a really good job of juxtaposing that with becoming a werewolf with two different characters. And it's not just horror. The author also does a really good job of not taking the book and the story too seriously. Mm-hmm. You know, when you have one sister pregnant, one sister turning into a werewolf, comedy can ensue.
Yes.
And there is also a little bit of romance too. So can Rory keep her life on track enough to help her sister, work through her inner demons, and then also maybe find love with an old friend?
He threw that part about the romance in there because he knows that I read romance. And he's trying to lure me in.
And of course the romantic interest is a tall hunk who rehabs houses and
that's part of the course these days.
Has inner soft spot. So
of course. I think all home rehabbers are like that. I have to say, one of the things that I love is when you talk about horror, you know, it's clear that you love those tropes of the genre, but you really do such a good job of sort of exploring the bigger ideas that horror is meant to explore. And I appreciate that because as a scaredy cat, I'm very quick to dismiss that. And you do a really good job of being like, no, there's really good stuff here. You just have to, be willing to see it.
For sure, and that's why I find Harrison really intriguing as an author. Her first book did a really good job of this, and I feel like she's going back to that with this one, to where she takes real life drama. So whether it's, there's this mysterious pregnancy in our family, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
And then smashes it up with horror tropes. Yeah. And in this case, it's a werewolf. And her last book is a witch. Okay. And then through that lens of becoming a werewolf, she examines family drama and real life drama. And I think it's an interesting way to both look at horror and real life issues that we encounter. So if you kind of enjoy that twisty family drama story and want it with a lot of gore, because this one does have a lot of gore.
I was going to ask, okay, so this is higher on the gore factor. Good to know.
And her first book, The Return, had a lot of body gore too.
Okay.
And I feel like this one goes right back into that, where if you've experienced or read any other werewolf media in the past, whether it's film or books. That's a scary transformation.
Yes.
And this book doesn't pull any punches with that. But it also has that real delicious family drama too. So it's a nice mix-up of the two elements.
Excellent. Well, if any of these titles appeal to you, you can go ahead to our catalog and put them on hold, or swing by the library and see if we've got a copy available. And if you are looking for gift ideas for the upcoming holiday season, that's another reason you're going to want to stop by. On Friday, November 25th, we will release our holiday gift guide, which has recommendations for everybody on your list, all ages, all interests. I think if I remember correctly, you gave me some more, but I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. You'll have to come in and get the guide yourself. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.